This baby's story is actually an update. We talked about this a while ago when it happened, but as these stories go, sometimes it takes a while for us to finally get to somewhat of a conclusion. But we're going to talk about these two jerk-offs that you guys see on my screen. If you've never been to my channel before, I don't like people who hurt kids. I don't like people who hurt babies. That's why we're the AFC, the Advocates for Children. We're going to give children a voice, and we're going to speak against people like this who hurt babies. But before we get into the details, let me give you guys a disclaimer about my channel. Some viewers may find the following content offensive and controversial. The information in this video comes from multiple sources, including court records, official police charges, news web articles, and interviews. This video commentary also contains my personal opinions about the facts of this story. The point is to use this story as a cautionary tale in hopes of preventing tragedies like these to children going forward. Viewer discretion is advised. That is your official disclaimer. And I'm getting this particular story from one of my favorite sources, lawandcrime.com, so thank you for the article. An Alabama woman has, after a long delay, accepted legal culpability for the blunt force trauma death of her 3-year-old stepdaughter. And y'all know I hate that word, stepdaughter. Where are my pictures? Okay, my pictures are disappearing, but it's okay. Might glitch out a little bit. We'll try to fix it. So she's accepted culpability in the death of her stepdaughter. So if they weren't married, she's not the mother. That means it's dad's girlfriend. Haley D.E.E. Metz, M-E-T-Z, 33 years old, entered a blind plea this week on one count of aggravated child abuse, meaning that the range of her eventual sentence was not hashed out as part of her plea deal. I have no idea what that means. And yes, this is such a beautiful little angel. Like, it just seems like I don't know, like it just seems like the pictures are almost like professional looking pictures, but you know, a lot of camera phones can take really good pictures too. But yeah, she's a beautiful little angel. In exchange for pleading guilty, prosecutors in Etowah County, E-T-O-W-A-H, I'm sure I didn't pronounce that right, agreed to drop one count of conspiracy to commit aggravated assault. Now, Haley D. Metz, dad's girlfriend, admission of guilt is the penultimate chapter in a dual criminal case against the stepmother and the father of the little girl by the name of Ada DeMasso, who was 3 years old and who died nearly 3 years ago. So that's how long it's been since we've talked about this. Meanwhile, a civil case against child welfare authorities is likely to go on for months, if not for years to come. In early October 2021, family members phoned the police to request a welfare check at a residence at Gadsden after finding the little girl unresponsive in a bathtub. And that's where we get one of our famous sayings here at the AFC, hashtag not another bathtub story. The reason that we say that is because a lot of these stories seem to be very odd, very weird, how you have children allegedly dying in bathtubs, which usually may involve clothes being on or off. I just don't like the idea that, especially people who are now biological parents, to be handling children when it comes to bathing. But that's just me. I'm very protective of my child. I don't know if you guys are like that. Now, if y'all are married, fine. I just don't like the idea of somebody that don't share a DNA tie with my child to be handling my baby in no type of form of taking off clothes. I actually have a very interesting story to tell y'all later on when it comes to how serious I am about my daughter and just being protective as a father in general. I know a lot of you guys are really, really good parents. Y'all feel where I'm coming from, mothers and fathers. Now, her father's name is Nicholas Joseph DeMasso, who's 26 years old, and was almost immediately taken into custody. Now, investigators quickly put the case against DeMasso, alleging he used his hands and or fist to beat the girl to death. Now, does that sound like a father who loved his child held to the gnaw? You can't justify that. There is no reason for that. And matter of fact, I'm going to continue to keep saying I don't like any parents at all that are physically assaulting their children. To black people, That means, in translation, I don't like you spanking your kids, hitting your kids, pushing your kids, mushing your kids, beating your kids, yelling, hollering, screaming at your kids, domineering over your children, right? I think all of it is horrible practice. If you're still being physical with your children, you need to stop. If somebody reports you, best believe if your story comes across my desk, I'm going to excoriate you the same way and hope that we get laws changed to make sure to get your asses in prison for a very long time. I'm tired of seeing these babies dying at the hands of these caretakers, these alleged human beings. I don't see, look, here's my thing. I just don't understand how you can see a face like this. Any face, any child, any baby, any age, and think that she could ever do anything so wrong to deserve a demise like that. She just wants to eat. She wants to learn. She wants to play. She wants to laugh. She wants to eat, sleep, be clean, be taken care of, and protected. The people who were supposed to do that in this case were these two jerk-offs here. I want nothing less than a life sentence for both of them in their participating roles. And I'm going to tell you guys this also. I like to take credit for this, and maybe some of y'all may agree or disagree. I like to take credit to think that because of channels like mine, that people like this, remember when I told y'all about kids, moms taking kids to the thug zoo and stuff like that, and it's always the boyfriend that ends up getting prosecuted. It's never the other party. Well, I like the fact that when you have both caretakers, if they see something and don't say anything, participate, I want both people to go to jail equally. Equal amount of time. If not, the lesser party needs to at least get half the amount of time in prison. So I like to take credit for that. But that's just me. So he used his hands and fists to beat his own precious angel to death. While exact details of the child's violent death have not been released in full, law enforcement later revealed that Ada had over 50 signs of trauma throughout her body, otherwise known as blunt force trauma injuries. 50. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8. And these are unique injuries that they're counting whenever they do the autopsy. They're counting not individual little bitty spots, but usually trauma spots that look like, yep, that's an impact, that's an impact, that's an impact, that's an impact. Separate impacts. 50 of them that ended up causing this baby her death. In October 2023, Ada's estate, led by her maternal grandmother, filed a long-expected lawsuit against the Alabama Department of Human Resources, alleging that Yellowhammer State System needlessly subjected the vulnerable girl to horrific and fatal violence. The lawsuit names the overarching state agency and several others, including 4 individual caseworkers, as defendants and claims they violated laws, misinterpreted them, or acted negligently. I'm surprised I was able to get all them words out. In ways that proximately caused the toddler's death, according to a copy of the original petition obtained by the Gadsden Times. All these agencies touched and were warned that this poor child was suffering and she needed to get out of that house and out of that situation, and they failed her completely. And as a result, this tragedy occurred. Plaintiff's attorney Tommy James said in the comments to Birmingham-based Fox affiliate WBRC earlier this year. She had a broken arm that was healing. And that's my original video. If y'all want to go on my channel and find, just listen and see what I said prior to this. So I'm going to back that up so y'all can see it. If you're looking for the thumbnail, it will look like this. I haven't changed it, so it'll look like that. She had a broken arm that was healing. She's 3 years old. She had a gash in her foot. She's 3 years old. And she literally had marks up and down her entire body. She's only 3 years old. What this child suffered from is just horrific. You can't even imagine. On June 14th, DiMaggio was sentenced to spend the rest of his life in prison without the possibility of parole after pleading guilty to 1 count each of capital murder, which could have got him the death penalty, right? Of a child under age 14 years old and conspiracy to commit aggravated child abuse, according to WBRC. The girl had only been in her father's, Met sentencing is slated for November, so that's this month. We'll probably do one more update, and then that'll just be the end of the saga. So she's slated for sentencing this month. The girl had only been in her father's custody for only 8 months before she died, according to court documents obtained by the AL.com. And I know somebody in the chat asked, where was the biological mother? And I don't even know that I really have an answer to that. I just think you could even blame that on the mom. The same way that I would blame it on an absentee father, you could blame it on the biological mother for not being there for whatever reason. If he got custody and didn't deserve to have custody, or even if the biological mother lost custody, I'm not exactly sure. But you could point to those as being signs that this little girl was in a very rough position. She knows I won't rest until I know that her death, let me read that again. She knows I won't rest until I know that her death was not in vain, the victim's grandmother said the days after her death. Not the mother, the grandmother. I want everybody to know we fought hard to keep her safe, how the system failed us on every level, and how so many other families all over the country are going through the same hurt dealing with this horrible system. We're going to fight this to the end, believe that. That's from the grandmother. We ain't heard from the mom. But let me give you guys a disclaimer about my content before we get into the news video. Not a disclaimer, but the fair usage. Let's get it. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. And also, thank you so much, Maria, for gifting those channel memberships. Thank you so much for showing support for this channel. It's super easy. All you guys have to do is just be subscribed, type in the chat, leave a comment. If you guys would do me a favor and please hit that thumbs up. Let other people find this video in the YouTube algorithm, and let's make stories like this go viral, okay? Here we go.
I'm Taylor Pollock from the First Alert Desk. A father has been sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole after he pled guilty to killing his 3-year-old daughter in Etowah County. Nicholas Joseph DiMaggio was sentenced Thursday after he pled guilty to capital murder of a child under 14 and conspiracy to commit aggravated child abuse. This comes after his daughter, 3-year-old Ada DiMaggio, was found in a bathtub and unresponsive back in 2021 after a concerned welfare check. Officers say they found that 3-year-old with over 50 signs of trauma covering her body. The child's stepmother, Haley D. Metz, is also currently facing charges of aggravated assault and conspiracy to commit aggravated assault in connection to the child's death.
A grandmother in Etowah County tonight still fighting for justice in the death of her precious granddaughter.
It's a heartbreaking case, but one we hope can bring some help. We want to warn you the details are hard to hear. About the case of this little girl, 3-year-old Adaya Grace DiMaggio. She was found dead in her dad's East Alabama home exactly 2 years ago today. Now, court records say she had dozens of signs of trauma on her body and her head was shaved. Our East Alabama reporter Reggie Kyle has been digging into the story. He's live tonight after talking to her grandmother's attorney about what they hope, Reggie, that a new lawsuit against DHR can accomplish.
Jonathan, Chandra Poe Davis was quoted as saying that she will not rest until she knows that her grandbaby's death was not in vain. A lawsuit was filed last week against the state of Alabama Department of Human Resources, along with individual caseworkers in Cherokee County, Jefferson County, and Etowah County for their alleged roles in the death of 3-year-old Ada Grace DiMaggio.
Because all these agencies touched and were warned that this poor child was suffering and she needed to get out of that house and out of that situation, and they failed her completely. And as a result, this tragedy occurred.
The lawsuit, filed by the Tommy James law firm, alleges multiple failures by DHR and the named individuals after the child was found in a bathroom unresponsive after a concerned welfare check. Officers say they found a 3-year-old with over 50 signs of trauma covering her body.
Because there are old and new injuries on her. She had healing rib fractures, multiple healing rib fractures. She had a broken left arm that was healing. She had a gash in her foot. She literally had marks up and down her whole body. What this child suffered from is just it's just horrific. You can't even imagine it.
Ada's father, Nicholas DiMasso, has been charged with capital murder and conspiracy to commit aggravated child abuse, while his girlfriend, Haley D. Metz, was charged with aggravated assault and conspiracy to commit aggravated assault. Both are awaiting trial.
This child was living in a horrible situation. She lived in filth. Complaints had been made of abuse and neglect. Complaints had been made of serious drug use by the father, heroin use. He was an absent father oftentimes, so she would be by herself, Ada would be by herself. So the entire system utterly failed her, and it's inexcusable.
Now, I reached out to DHR for comment about this situation, but have not heard back yet. I reached out to the grandmother. She did release a statement saying, if we can just save one child from the hands of someone that would harm them, then all of this would have been worth it. We hope that we can make Ada proud. That was the statement from the grandmother. Reggie Kyle, WBRC, Fox 6 News, on your side.
So glad to have you with us. We start with a really tough story. A woman in Etowah County will spend the rest of her life in prison for her role in the murder of her 3-year-old stepdaughter. Haley Metz pled guilty to a charge of aggravated child abuse connected to the death of 3-year-old Ada Grace DiMasso.
The child was found in a bathtub, unresponsive, covered in injuries during a welfare check in 2021. Your East Alabama reporter Reggie Kyle was in the courtroom today and spoke with the girl's grandmother. Just such an awful, heartbreaking story.
Morgan Etowah County Circuit Judge William Ogletree apologized to the courtroom for becoming emotional while handing down a life sentence to Haley Lee Getz.
There should be a means for a grandparent to step in and have some of those rights, but right now there's not.
In June, Nicholas DiMasso was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole after he pleaded guilty to killing his 3-year-old daughter, Ada DiMasso. His girlfriend, Haley Metz, received her life sentence today after pleading guilty to an aggravated child abuse charge.
So while you sit in prison and you think about the cruelty that you gave, I'm not wishing the worst on anyone because I know, like I said, I have to live my life past this, but I think this was the best possible sentence.
Sandra Poe.
And it's really about the best that you can get. For him to get a life sentence, and there's a good chance that she's probably going to get, I'd say maybe, 15 years, maybe 20 years is what I'm hoping for. If y'all are watching, do me a favor and please hit that thumbs up. We want to try to have one thumb up for everybody watching. Everybody that hits that will help us out quite a bit. So if you're listening, please hit that thumbs up. So I agree. Even if they just save one life going forward, then what their actions are doing, I would say is worth it. But I just hope that people do the right thing. Like when it comes to suing and winning money and stuff like that, you just pray and hope that people do the right thing and that the right message gets out there. So I'm with them on that.
Ada's great-grandmother says she's trying to heal from this traumatic experience.
This moment and this time actually gives us the strength that we need, and so all of us just can start beginning the true healing process now.
From graphic pictures to listening to the abuse and torture her grandbaby suffered, Chandra Poe Davis says it was all worth it to get justice for Ada.
Even if she was here, she can't speak for herself, but we were just, we wanted to make sure that we were here in any capacity that we could be. There were parts where I did have to walk out because I had a memory that I wanted to preserve of her, And I knew that in order to move past this, I had to be able to fight.
Now, Chandra Poe Davis went on to say that this tragedy has given her family a purpose. They want to make sure that grandparents have the right and the ability to save at least one child.
I gotta say this. I love how well spoken the family is, especially the grandmother. Very eloquent, very concise. You got right to the point. Compose yourself. Like, I love when we are able to purport ourselves like that. Like, I think that's just such a beautiful showing. When it comes to just trying to break this stigma. Even like me, I don't speak very well. I don't read very well. I could be a little bit hood and ghetto half the damn time. But I try my best to at least try to represent myself in a way that shows that I have some class, right? So shout out to the grandparents. And again, it makes me curious where the biological mother is. So I'm assuming that the biological mother is black. It don't take a rocket scientist to look at this baby and see that she is mixed, because clearly the grandmother is black, meaning she probably had a black child. And you see that the biological father was a white man, right? Where is that mother? Why are we not hearing from her? That's still a big part of this story. Like, so if they got custody, then you would have to think, okay, mom must have done something bad. So it sounds like you just had two people that got together that were just not good parents. To the grandparents, I'm not trying to just dump on that woman and not know what she is or what she's not, but that's the conclusion that I have to draw based on the circumstances. Why would she lose custody? Why were y'all not able to get custody? Part of that is, I think, a flaw in the system, but here's the thing. I am a proponent for biological fathers getting access to their children. And because this weak ass, punk ass, sorry ass, crap of a man failed his own child, he sets fathers back. This sets fathers back. This says to the system, maybe we might need to rethink this thing and not just automatically give the other DNA parent the custody of their child. So that sucks, because imagine if I was ever in that situation and I needed to get custody. And shout out to my daughter's mom, shout out to my daughter, shout out to my kids. But if I were in that situation, I wouldn't want to jump through a bunch of hoops and hurdles to be able to get custody of my daughter. Like, I'll just be like, hey, come check my place. My place is good. All right, cool, we good. And she should be here, and that should just be the end of it, because I'm the biological father. So for this man to take this beautiful honor and privilege of being a man and a father and creating a legacy so that this baby should be able to grow up and become something great, to fail her in the worst way possible, I think that your soul and your girlfriend's soul is required in hell for what y'all did. There's a special place for people who hurt, murder, and abuse children. Ida, young princess, R.I.P. The only other thing we'll probably do is if we get a final sentencing on Dad's girlfriend, we'll do that story. Beautiful little angel lost her life for absolutely no reason. Y'all do me a favor. If y'all have thoughts about the story, please post a comment in the comment section. Or if you even maybe know for sure where the biological mother is, please let me know as well, okay? Thank you. A thank you to those who sent me this story. They saw it relatively quick, and I heard about it, and they was like, well, did you hear about the woman that jumped off the Niagara Falls with her kids? And I was like, no, I didn't hear about that, but I'm just like, what is going on with these people? So it's like a lot of times what I want to do is really kind of look at the circumstance and just kind of give my opinion about what I think happened. But I'm definitely going to have some opinions about this. I think it's overall selfish. But before we get into the details, let me give you a disclaimer if you've never been here before. Some viewers may find the following content offensive and controversial. The information in this video comes from multiple sources, including court records, official police charges, news web articles, and interviews. This video commentary also contains my personal opinions about the facts of this story. The point is to use this story as a cautionary tale in hopes of preventing tragedies like these to children going forward. Viewer discretion is advised. That is your official disclaimer. And I'm getting this particular story from channel2now.com. So thank you for the article. And these were beautiful little kids. And I ended up finding these actual children much later. Like I almost wasn't even able to find them. But I was still going to tell the story either way it goes. A heartbreaking tragedy unfolded at Niagara Falls State Park on October the 28th of 2024 when a 33-year-old woman, so she's not a child, she's not young, none of that. She's old enough to know. Chianti or Chianti means Chianti. And I don't even know that that's her real name because I found her name on Facebook as something completely different. Let me see if I can find that. Diamond Scott is the name that she was going by on Facebook. But Chianti means, and her two young children who were 9-year-old Roman Rossman, who is the boy on the right-hand side, handsome young man, and 5-month-old Mecca means, and I like that name Mecca. That's a beautiful little angel. And they fell to their deaths, and it was not accidental. The family bypassed safety barriers and entered a restricted area on Goat Island. Despite extensive security measures in place at the park, the family managed to access the dangerous area. I'll have some opinions about that. We'll come back to it. That's the biological father. We'll come back. That's one of the biological fathers, actually. 1 out of 2. We'll come back to that. New York State Police are investigating the incident and have determined that the deaths were intentional. Y'all look at those screenshots also. However, the specific motivations behind the tragic act remain unclear. Under the pseudonym Chianti means express feelings of loneliness, frustration, and desire for love and family. Her post revealed a troubled mind with references to past relationships and a longing for connection. The exact circumstances leading to the tragic incident are still under investigation, and I don't care what she was going through, postpartum, whatever excuses people want to give her, guess what? I don't give a shit. I'm tired of people being grown as hell, independent, my body, my choice, but yet they continue to keep affecting innocent lives like this, and there cannot be any more excuses to do crap like this. Trying to write a message back. Now, the exact circumstances are still under investigation, just so you guys know. Now, the person that you guys saw, the man, let's go back to him for a second. This guy, this is Chianti or Chianti's husband by the name of Jeff Witt, W-I-T. According to sources close to the family, he was reportedly told to do something extreme like jumping from Niagara Falls. I have no idea how that even relates to this, but that's what they wanted people to know. The incident has raised serious concerns about safety protocols at the park and the need for increased vigilance to prevent future tragedies. So here's the thing. And also they said, if you're struggling with suicidal thoughts, you can dial the 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week National Suicide Prevention Hotline at 988 or go to suicidepreventionlifeline.org. If you ask me, stupid is as stupid thugs. I just think that if you're just a stupid person, you're going to do stupid things. It don't matter how many barriers you put up there. She was going to find a way to kill herself and these kids. Let me say that again. No matter what barriers you put up, safety protocols, you could put up an electric fence, you could put up a freaking Trump wall. They're going to find a way around the damn thing if their intention is to try to hurt themselves or their children. You can't fix stupid. You can't fix somebody who's got these emotional issues, but yet they keep wanting to create children, right? Now, you guys saw that I said a minute ago, let me make sure I get this right. Let me make sure I get these ages right. Her son is 9 years old. 9 years old should be plenty enough to let her know, hey, having children is a difficult thing to do. Being a parent is a difficult thing to do. So if it's that difficult and you struggle so much emotionally, why would you go your body, your choice, and go make another kid that you probably couldn't even take care of the first one properly? Let alone that, we're also going to have to talk about these damn screenshots and this woman being desperate for a man, right? And that's a horrible place to be in. To be desperate for somebody's attention is a horrible place to be in. And I just think that she's attention starved. And I'm not really willing to blame this on whatever man that she's dealing with, because they probably realized, oh, after sleeping with her, this woman's crazy. But by then, it's too late. It's too late to get away. Let's take a look at this first one. I'm going to put this on the big screen. This is coming from her Facebook page under the name of Diamond Scott. So Chianti means, I don't know which one is her real name, but this is her. I wish someone would love me because the man that's supposed to does not. And before that, or after that, she wrote, everyone, please leave me alone. I'm in love with my daughter's father. So that's the most recent man, which means that she got multiple baby daddies. Different dads. I want my family back. Respectfully, I don't give a F what I said about him before or what anyone thinks. Let me say that again. She said, I don't care what I said about him before or what anyone thinks. Caring is the problem. Caring. Caring is the problem. And too many of these people think that I don't give a F, and you think that's the correct way to feel about things. It's not. Because then it turns people off to you. People don't want to be around you. You got a shitty attitude. You're not a good person. You're out of shape. You're not really that cute, right? You got a lot of things that are working against you. The least you can do is be a pleasant person. And it's so funny how I'm not going to excoriate all of my sisters, right? But I'm going to say that too many of us in our community, in the black community, the simplest thing for us to fix is our attitudes, and we refuse to do it. We wear this badass attitude like a badge of honor and think that people want to deal with that shit, right? And it's always a big ass smack in the face when you're pushing 30 and 40 years old, when you're starting to feel your mortality, when you're starting to realize that, oh, okay, you know, my natural body's gestation period is about to end by the age of 40 years old, and I won't be able to have any more kids. At least I'll be high risk. Start to feel that mortality, and then you realize, life is really short. I've wasted all my 20s. I've wasted all my teenage years. I've wasted a lot of my 30s over acting a damn fool, thinking I could be out here hot girl summer all goddamn night and all goddamn day. Right? And I want to show y'all those pictures also. I want to show y'all how obsessed this woman is with attention or obsessed with herself. This is from her Facebook page. So clearly I have a lot to say about this. I looked through every picture that I could personally find on her Facebook page, and these were all I were able to find was pictures of her and none of her children. I found her pictures from whole other websites. Now that don't mean that maybe because the page is private, maybe some of the pictures got changed, maybe some of the posts got taken down. But all I saw was a bunch of pictures of her and nothing else. I would just think that at some point, if you're a good parent, a good person, you would have pictures of your kids on there from time to time. Unless you're just a very private person. Let me also show you how desperate she is for a man that clearly she has turned off. Also, another thing that a lot of these young women don't do. What's up, Phoenix? How are you? Another thing that these young women don't do very well is taking care of their hygiene. That's another thing that is very, very prevalent among the black community with our sisters. Hashtag not all, but too many of our sisters have no gynecologist. All right? I'm just saying, the funky box could prevent a man from wanting to be with you, ma'am. I'm just saying. She wrote this on October 27th, which wasn't that long ago. Unfortunately for everyone who want to get with me, my body only craves one person. If that is not a conceited bitch, I don't know what is. She said, unfortunately for everybody that wants to get with me, but yet she's walking around looking like a sad loaf of bread right here, right? Maybe some of y'all think this is cute. Maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe I'm just picky as hell. Where's that other picture of her? Maybe some of y'all like this right here. With this crap pasted on the top of her head. Like it just looked like she probably ain't watched that stuff in a while. Most of them don't. They gotta sew and paste this stuff on the top of their head. It was one picture. I don't think I saved it in here. That's more like what she actually looks like. Right there. Real plain Jane. Not to say that she's ugly, but I'm just saying she ain't the top of the food chain. When it comes to for everybody that wants to get with me. She's a narcissist. Thank you, Dre. I'm just saying. And somebody at the bottom wrote, it's crazy how many of y'all are defending her. She murdered her children. She was aware and sane. She would never be reunited with those babies because she was spending eternity in hell. So it sounds like somebody who watches my channel. So shout out to the person by the name of Nikki. Shout out to you. Because that sounds like my words. I got a couple more screenshots. Let's take a look at this. We're going to keep going. And I'm going to keep bashing her, y'all. She wrote this on October the 1st. You have to hold on to the ones you love. Never know when you might lose them. Again, funky attitudes make people not want to be around you. I wish someone would love me because the man that's supposed to does not. I would blame yourself, ma'am. On October 21st, recent, she wrote, imagine having a baby with the person you dream about. Somebody at the bottom wrote, then why did you kill yours? Very, very selfish. Here's another one on October 28th. For my baby daddy, I do all the time. And they said, and she was sharing a post that says, imagine having a girl that likes to suck on a man's privates and buy you stuff. Simple-minded ass broad. Do I have one more? Let me see if I got one more. We'll move on to the news stories here in just a second. Ah, look at this. Look at what she wrote about her kid. Didn't even post a picture of the baby. But she wrote, and my beautiful daughter. And my daughter beautiful. And my daughter beautiful. That sounds like she's taking credit for that rather than actually giving her daughter an actual compliment. But I digress. Let me give you guys the fair usage. I only got 2 news videos. Here we go. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. I'm just saying, ladies, I'm going to just warn y'all, in the Trump era, them bad attitudes ain't going to get you very far for those who have the bad attitudes and think you can just do whatever you want to do, behave however you want to behave, and just think that a man is just going to sit there and just deal with it. No. Clearly her baby daddy and her previous baby daddy was like, nope, I'm out. I ain't got to sit here and deal with this. Screw it. Take my child support, but I'm out. Y'all would do me a favor, leave a comment in the comment section. Some of y'all might have some thoughts. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Hit that thumbs up. Let's listen. Here we go.
And our top story tonight at 6, a mother and her 2 children are dead tonight after police say they went over a guardrail and into the rapids over Niagara Falls. Good evening, I'm Scott Levin.
And I'm Mary Alice Demler. 2 on your side's Andy Payton is live in Niagara Falls with the latest details from state police. Andy.
Scott and Mary Alice, the why is something that state police are still really struggling with right now as this investigation continues. It all happened just over my shoulder here on Luna Island, right along those safety rails there. State police telling us just within the past few hours here that they do believe that this was intentional. They think that the mother and her 2 kids here purposely went over the falls there. And we also know that this all started around 9 p.m. on Monday when the mother, 33-year-old Chianti Means, and her 2 kids, one 9 years old and the other just 5 months old, crossed over that safety railing at Luna Island, a small island here, as you just saw, by the popular tourist attraction Cave of the Winds. Authorities are still investigating the circumstances of how.
And again, I want to make a point. Let me back this up like a U-Haul truck just for a second. Y'all see this railing here? They're saying that maybe they need to institute more safety protocols. If you ask me, I'd say no. No, you don't. You've got plenty. Stupid is as stupid does. I think that if somebody wants to commit suicide, they're going to do it anyway. Putting up taller, stronger, thicker barriers ain't going to make a difference. If people want to be stupid, they're going to find ways to be stupid. I just think they've done enough. And stop sitting here feeling guilt behind people just doing stupid crap. They don't need to change nothing about their safety protocols. This is just a stupid mother that shouldn't have had kids.
Authorities are still investigating the circumstances of how all this went down, and they say they may never know more.
And I want y'all to think about this also. You notice how she didn't leave the kids to the custody of none of the family members or the baby dads. Y'all think about that? Think about how selfish she is, that she didn't even love her children enough to give them a chance. 9 years old and 5 months old. Did not love them at all to give them a chance. Go live with your father and let me go hurt my own self without involving the children that I love dearly. No, she said, I'm going to be selfish, I'm going to be hurtful, and I'm going to hurt them because I feel some type of way. If you ask me, that's the epitome of a selfish bitch.
More than they do right now, but given the situation, we pressed them enough. They're classifying this as a murder by suicide. Take a listen to this.
We don't want to say that outright, but it's I would say very close to that. We don't have enough definitive information to totally go with that, but also we don't like to assume when it comes to police work. We like to have it's either this or it's this. So right now we're in that gray area of it could be, but very much might not be.
Now, we're also told no arrests have been made, and at this time, this is not a criminal investigation. Police do tell us, though, that the family has been very cooperative throughout this process and are really now just trying to find some closure for them. And that's why, as we speak, there are still rescue crews in the waters below us here trying to find any remains. But Scott and Mary Alice, 48 hours into this search, they still have not found anything. Really.
And that's wild to think that that place is... water rushes so quickly and it's so dangerous. They still ain't even found the bodies as of yet. That's a wild thought to think.
Just a tragic situation here in the Falls. We'll, of course, have more tonight at 11. But for now, live and on your side in Niagara Falls, Andy Payton, Channel 2 News.
Boy, you hate to hear these stories.
Good evening. I'm Leah Lando, live in Niagara Falls. We thank you for joining us. Unfortunately, we begin with information about a terrible tragedy that police say happened right here Monday night. They tell me a mother intentionally went over the falls, bringing with her her 2 young children. Their bodies have not been recovered. I'm going to show you where they say this happened. We've learned it happened on Luna Island. Now, that's an area connected to Goat Island inside Niagara Falls State Park. It's just a short distance from where I am right now. Police tell us 33-year-old Keonti Means, her 9-year-old, and her 5-month-old went over a safety guardrail and then over the falls. This was on around 9 p.m. Monday, and they heard from numerous witnesses over the past 48 hours. Multiple police agencies have been involved in the search. Authorities have been spotted in the park in marked vehicles and the state police helicopters and in the water below the falls where they're searching. As of tonight, we're told the bodies have not been recovered. And while this tragedy remains under investigation, state police telling me that they have yet to uncover a possible explanation.
Everyone always says, is there a red flag, or was there a warning, right? We don't see that here. We don't see that warning or that red flag or that indicator that would assume that things have taken a very, long-term turn for the worst. So either something happened suddenly, or that's the spotty area that we're not quite sure right now. The best we can do for the families is to, down the road, recover the bodies if we can, and at least have that closure for the family. The why is going to be a very difficult question for us to ask.
Yeah, still early on in the investigation, and Trooper O'Callahan says that the children have different fathers. They tell me both men are cooperating with authorities and have been helpful in the investigation.
Everyone in the family that we've contacted, even the fathers of the children, have been very cooperative. They've been very forward with us with all information, and actually because...
See, a lot of times, here's what I'm thinking, Dre. Dre is thinking, I get what you're saying, like that maybe they didn't read the Facebook post. Oh, I think they know the motive, but a lot of time it's like they try not to speak on it. They try not to be the ones to put it out there. But with stuff like social media, it's easy for us to pick that up really quick. Like, that's not something we got to wait, days and months to find out. Like, we find out damn near the same day that we hear about something going on. So, yeah, I think they know. It's just that we know as quick as they know because we, was able to look at our Facebook page. I think that's all it is. I think they're just probably following protocol to just not speak on the motive yet. But I think they know.
Because of that, we're able to kind of speed this up quite a bit on our investigative end.
He says officers are interviewing witnesses who were here the night this happened. That was Monday night around 9 p.m. They heard from several people. There are also several cameras around the park here. They're looking at that as well in the investigation. And back here live, you're looking at a live picture of where police say that this happened. There has been a lot of talk about mental health today as well. While it's still early on, they don't know what led to this. That is something that we are talking about. And Maki Becker, my colleague, is just feet away from where I am with more on that.
Maki. Leah, if you've ever visited Niagara Falls State Park, you've probably seen one of these blue crisis services poles. And in each of these poles, there's a phone. And these phones connect you to a crisis hotline 24 hours a day. I spoke this afternoon with members of the Niagara County Department of Mental Health, and they shared the message with me that no one should ever feel helpless. There's always help on the other side of the line. They also emphasized you do not have to be in a state of crisis to seek out help.
So we have the phones that are available in 5 different points at the state park. They're at the Rapids, the Prospect Point, Three Sisters, Luna Island, and Terrapin Point. So if someone is experiencing a crisis, they're contemplating anything about ending their life or just needing some additional support to work through, they can pick up those phones and it dials right into our Niagara County Crisis Services or the 988 line, which we are affiliated with and we do answer.
Many of our callers called just to ask questions. They've have been feeling anxious, but they're not necessarily in a state of crisis. They've been having some symptoms of depression, or they're seeing something in a loved one. So certainly people are able to reach out and ask those questions long before things get to a crisis stage.
And that's okay.
That's perfectly okay.
So Laura Kellerman tells me that the hotline gets about 2,000 phone calls every month, and most of those are from people who just need some help. Leah?
Yeah, police here also telling me that they respond to multiple calls about mental health issues as well, and we want to share some important resources for you.
She didn't have mental health. She was just desperate for attention. No more excuses for people hurting, murdering, and abusing children. That's got to go. In 2025, we're going to start the year off right by saying there is no more mental illness when it comes to hurting, murdering, or abusing children. There just has to be punishment. That's it. There are actions. They just have to be punished.
There are numbers that you can call to talk to somebody if you or someone you love is struggling. We have all of this information as well on our website, WKBW.com, as the investigation continues into what led a mother to intentionally, according to police, go over the rails here and over the falls with her 2 young children continues. We will continue to update you. For now, I'm reporting live in Niagara Falls. Leah Lando, 7 News. Jeff.
Such a difficult and
I mean, could y'all imagine? I want to put this into perspective, and I hope that nobody takes this the wrong way. Look, I think we've all been in relationships or dealt with people or even have sexual encounters where folks like, you know what, I missed that. I would love to have it again. And just for whatever reason, it's just not available to you anymore. That person might have moved on. Maybe they didn't like what you did. It could be anything, right? And that's people's right to be able to move on. But that does not give you the right to go hurt kids. I want y'all to think about this. Like, let's just say if I had a girlfriend and I miss my girlfriend, want to be back in a relationship with her, and she's just like, nope, I moved on. Like, that's the end of it. I didn't like you. I didn't like you. Let's just say like not making me a priority or not being consistent, right? Not being consistent. Just Jay is not consistent enough, and they decided to move on. Well, does that give me the right, because now I'm in a mentally ill state, that now that gives me the green pass to be able to do whatever the hell I want to children, to kids, to my kids, and they're supposed to be a bleeding heart for me. They're supposed to be sympathy for me. They're supposed to be this message of, we don't know what Judge Jay was going through, y'all. There would be no excuse for me. And my family that's left over would have to deal with that people are going to throw rocks at me and not throw flowers for doing what I did to my kids. So if it's going to be good on this side of things, what they say, what's good for the goose has to be good for the gander. Then if we're going to say that we're going to hold people accountable, then we have to hold all people accountable. Whether it be women, whether it be black women, this whole protected class thing is stupid. Got to do away with it. What did you say, Dre the Dream? No excuses in 2025. We're getting rid of all excuses. To those beautiful angels, let me get Mom's stupid face off my screen. Those are just beautiful children that could have grown up to become anything. To Roman, Rossman, and Mecca Means, young souls, R.I.P. I just wish that your mom would have loved you enough to give them to the dad so that they can have an opportunity and grow up and become something great. That would have been nice. And let mom figure out whatever her issues are without harming those children. But for that, that's going to be a conclusion to this story. I don't think whether the father's participation or lack thereof is going to make a difference. So I think that's just going to wrap this story up. Leave a comment in the comment section and let me know what you think. I know I had a lot to say, but participate and let me know what you guys think. Thank you.